Bless you. Still sneezing. All right, hey everybody. We're mixing it up today. Logan's been practicing for the past several weeks. We've done a class, and I'm gonna practice this weekend. Logan's gonna teach. She's also a certified instructor, so she's gonna teach, and I'm gonna practice. So, turn it over to Logan.
Hey, my name's Logan. If you haven't already set this out, so I'm married, also both yoga teachers. So, yeah, another option. So we'll get started. So if you can start on your mat in child's pose. So your knees can either be together and then hips sit back towards the heels, or if it feels better on your lower back, maybe bring the knees out wide, letting your chest reach all the way to the mat, a little more inverted. Finding whichever one feels better. Either are fine. And then stretching fingertips out in front of you. And then maybe start with, if it feels good, an audible sigh out, letting your breath go, long exhale. So sorry, technical difficulties. So saying focus of yoga is pairing breath with movement. So if you can begin on the inhales, trapping breath in all the way down to the lower belly. Exhale, feeling sensation of breath, letting go. We're moving towards finding our capacity to fill up, oxygenate the body as we begin movement, which can be applied not only to yoga, but in any of our exercising. So we'll take another deep inhale in together, fill up the lower belly, let it fall heavy towards the mat. Exhale, draw the navel in towards the spine to activate the core. And then continue with that pattern of breath. And if you can, lengthen your inhales and exhales. So slowing down our internal body by using our breath to tell it to be still. We'll start practice in a still position like this. And I invite you, a lot of times in yoga practice, we start by setting an intention. So what do I want to do in this time? Or maybe it's something I want to not do in this time. Something I want to let go of. Move my attention away from. Often for me, my intention is just breathe. Come back to the breath, the inhale and exhale. So whatever that is on an inhale, say that to ourselves. On our exhale, maybe we practice letting go of something we don't need for the next hour. And then one more inhale, reach fingertips even longer on the mat. And then on the exhale, walk the hands over to the right side. And then once you get as far right as feels comfortable, then press the left palm down into the mat. Feel the opening all the way down the left side body. Take a deep breath in here, breathing into that left side, beginning to wake up. Torso, obliques. One more inhale. And then exhale back through center. And on the next inhale, we'll walk over to the left side. And again, as soon as we get to a comfortable place here, pressing right palm into the mat, opening up right side. 2 deep breaths on this side. And then next exhale, slowly back to center. And then we'll press up into all fours or tabletop position. So wrists are right underneath the shoulders, knees right underneath the hips. And we'll move through a few cat-cow. So on inhale, lift the hips up, lift the gaze up, navel heavy towards the mat. And then exhale, chin to chest for cat, round the spine. 2 more times to your own breath. Inhale, cow. Exhale, cat. And really begin to activate core here. So on the next inhale, can we let the navel fall heavy towards the mat, expanding out to the lower belly. And then on the exhale for cat, can we draw in, spine, good, navel reaching towards the spine. And then back to neutral. On an inhale, we'll extend right fingertips out in front of you with the thumb up towards the ceiling. Spread fingertips wide to activate the hand, and then kick the left heel back behind you. Good, so opposite side activation. Check in here if we've lifted the left hip up higher, can we bring them back in line? So aligning the hips with each other, it's gonna ask us to come more into our core. So on the inhale, we'll reach out, flex the back foot, and then good, breath in. And then on the breath out, on the exhale, bring the elbow to knee underneath the navel. So again, use the core here, slow movements. Inhale out, exhale in. One more time, inhale out. Exhale in, elbow to knee. And then inhale to extend back out. Flex the foot, heel presses back, thumb reaches up towards the ceiling. We'll take one breath in. And then on the exhale, bring the right arm over to the right, the left leg over to the left side. You'll wake up the glute means here, you should really feel this. So somewhere your glutes will stop you. So take a breath in here. Exhale, let it go, stay in the pose. And then on an inhale, we'll lift the arm and the leg up. So still extended out to the sides, good. And then exhale, lower back to neutral. 2 more times. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. 1 more time. And then exhale, back down, tabletop position. And then we'll move through a cat-cow again. So inhale, gaze up, hips up. Exhale, round the spine. And then inhale back to neutral, left fingertips out in front of you, thumb up towards the ceiling, spread fingertips wide, kick the right foot back, flex the heel, toes towards the face. Inhale to lengthen, exhale, elbow to knee. We'll do this 3 times to your own breath, and really take the full length of the breath as you reach out and as you exhale in. So we can do this really quickly, but we'll activate the core more if we slow down the movement. So 3rd time, elbow to knee, inhale back out. Stay for an exhale, and then next inhale, bring left arm over to left side, right leg over to right side as far as we can reach in that direction. We'll stay for a breath in, and a breath out, and then 3 times. Inhale, lift the arm and the leg, exhale, neutral. 1 more time, sorry, that was 2 more. This time, 1 more time, inhale, lift, exhale, back to tabletop position, move through 1 cat-cow. Gaze up and hips up. Navel heavy towards the mat, falling loose, and then navel in towards the spine, round for cat. Good, back to neutral, and then from here we'll curl the toes under, and then sit your hips up and then back for downward facing dog. So hips reach up towards the ceiling and then press back. The torso will come pushing in towards the legs. And then take time to walk your dog. So find any movement that feels good, back and forth, maybe a high plank, top of a push-up, and then back to down dog. Twisting of the hips and your rotations. And we'll use this pose as a time to check in with our bodies. So how do I feel? What's sore? What's tight? What do I notice? And then also to reset our breath. So we'll meet together on an inhale. Exhale to let it go. And then travel to the front of the mat for a forward fold. And then we'll move right into Ragdoll. So hands cup opposite elbows. Find as much bend in the knees as you need. It's never a problem to bend the knees in this pose, and especially in the first time in the practice. And if it feels good, you can sway torso side to side, elbows either direction. Pressing heels down into the mat, squeezing the inner thighs in towards each other. 2 more breaths. Release any tension in the neck if you can to let the head fall heavy towards the mat. And then on the next exhale, forward fold. Hands come to the mat. Inhale to halfway lift or flat back. Exhale to forward fold, and then inhale, extended mountain pose. Hands up and overhead, thumbs press back. Notice if you're sticking your tailbone out, can we rotate pelvis up and under? So we're activating the core even in the standing pose. 1 breath in, gaze up, and then exhale, forward fold. Inhale to halfway lift, flat back. Exhale, high to low plank. You can step or jump back, slowly lower down. Upward facing dog. Lower abs towards the front room, downward facing dog. Take a breath in, breath out. So if you've been in this practice every week, we do the same warm-up series to begin each class, not just for the sake of being repetitive, but because it activates every part of the body that we're going to use in our practice together. So we'll move through a few more rotations of the same thing, waking up slowly the body, and then also moving to pair breath with the movement. So really focus on that through this rotation. So we'll be together on an inhale, exhale to release, and then travel to the front of the mat for a forward fold. On your inhale, halfway lift, flat back, exhale to forward fold, inhale, extended mountain pose, exhale to fold, inhale, lift, exhale, high to low plank. So hands press down, step or jump back, and still you're exhaling as you lower down. And then inhale to upward facing dog, lower abdomen reaching forward. Exhale to downward facing dog. Take 2 rounds of breath. One more inhale. Exhale, let it go. And then forward fold. One more time with this version. On an inhale, halfway lift. Exhale to fold. Inhale, extended mountain pose. Exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, high to low plank, step or jump back. Move through the pattern to upward facing dog and then to downward facing dog. We'll take one breath in together. Again, finding any movement that feels good as you move throughout this pose. And then after your exhale, forward fold at the front of the mat for a different variation of the warm up. So inhale to halfway lift, flat back. Exhale to fold. And then inhale to chair pose. Hips sit low. Good, and then the inner thighs don't have to touch, but squeezing them in towards each other, all the way down towards the knees. So again, these are not necessarily touching, but pressing in, heels digging into the ground, squeezing it towards each other, and then lift shoulder blades back towards each other, fingertips press up towards the ceiling. 2 more breaths, sit a little lower if you can. Good, take a breath in. Breath out, last one. And then exhale to forward fold. Inhale to halfway lift, flat back. Exhale, high to low plank, step or jump back. Exhale all the way down, and then inhale to lift up, lower spine stretch. Exhale, downward facing dog. And then warrior one on the right side. So step the right foot to the right hand, and then lift fingertips up and overhead. So squaring the ribs towards the wall in front of you, and then squeezing inner thighs in towards each other. Spread fingertips wide again to find activation in the hands, thumbs press back. 2 more breaths in this pose. Press deeper in that front standing knee, still tracking your toes, so making more of a 90-degree angle if you weren't there yet. And then off your next exhale, hands down to the mat. Step the right foot back, slowly lower down, upward facing dog. Downward facing dog, and then right into the left side. Inhale, left foot forward, warrior one, left side. So press the outer edge of the back foot in the mat, lift the inner arch up towards the ceiling, square ribs towards the front of the room, press thumbs back. So the same cues, creating integrity in the pose from the ground up. 2 more breaths. On an inhale, can we tuck the pelvis under to really locate and then activate the abs? Next exhale, hands down to the mat. Step the left foot back, slowly lower down. Inhale to upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale together. Exhale, release. Check back in. How do I feel? What do I need? Do I need some movement somewhere? And then can I come back to connection with my breath if I've lost it? 1 more inhale in the pose. Exhale, let it go. And then forward fold at the top of the mat. Inhale to halfway lift or flat back. Exhale to fold. Inhale to chair pose, just 1 breath this time. So breath in, and then on your exhale, forward fold. Inhale, lift. Exhale, high to low plank. Really extend the length of this exhale as we step or jump back and lower down. Upward facing dog, breath in. Downward facing dog, breath out. And then next inhale, right foot forward, warrior one on the right side. So the same pose where we were before, but just 1 breath. After you fill up, slowly lower down and move through this same sequence. Lowering with the breath out, lifting with the breath in, compressing back to down dog, and then warrior one left side. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. Upward facing dog on the inhale. Downward facing dog. We'll take 2 rounds of breath. Last one. Inhale together. Exhale, let it go. And then forward fold, the last version of this series. Inhale to halfway lift. Exhale to forward fold. Inhale, chair pose, 1 breath. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, high to low plank. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. And then inhale, right foot forward. And as we lift arms up and overhead, we create more space for a longer inhale. And then exhale down. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Left foot forward, warrior one on the left side. Inhale to lift, create space for more breath. Exhale, lower down. Move through this same sequence. Upward facing dog. Exhale to downward facing dog. And we'll take 3 rounds of breath here. And if it feels significant to you, maybe check in and notice patterns of thought as we begin moving. Often for me, I find that I lose the intention I've set for my practice. So if there's something around that or connected for you there, if there's something we can let go of as we move throughout our practice, often it's our mental noise that slows us down more than our physical capacity. So in a mindfulness practice like yoga or yogic exercise, we can connect in that place too, moving past our mental blockages in our physical movement or our physical practices. So meet together on this inhale. And then on the exhale, move into three-legged dog on the right side. So right heel up towards the ceiling. On the exhale, press the left heel down towards the mat, moving towards a straight left leg if possible. And then bringing the hips back in line with each other, so it probably means dropping your right hip. And then kick the right heel a little higher if possible. Good. One more breath in. And then on the exhale, bend the knee to hinge over and open towards the right side. The gaze comes up and under the right arm, kind of opening everything towards the right. Should feel good. Maybe getting close to moving towards balancing on the left side. And then if you feel comfortable, lift the right fingertips up off the mat. And then we'll slowly move, like Addison did, over into flip dog. So press both heels into the mat, squeeze inner thighs in towards each other. Reach right hand back behind you, soften the standing elbow. Activate the lower glutes by squeezing. Good, one more breath in. And then exhale, slowly roll over, side plank with the left side down. Or right side down. So left fingertips lift up towards the ceiling. We'll be here for 3 breaths. So on an inhale, can we lift something? Yeah, lift a leg, lift your hips. You can have a modification here by bringing an elbow or knee to the ground if you need. Good. One more breath in. And then slowly on the exhale, roll over, high to low plank. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Take one breath in. Exhale, let it go. And then inhale, lift the left heel up towards the ceiling. On the exhale, press the right heel down towards the mat, lengthen through the hamstring. Then bring the left hip down in line with the right, kick the left heel up towards the ceiling. One more breath. And then on the exhale, hinge, bending the knee, slowly opening over. We'll take 2 breaths with the gaze up under the left arm, really lengthening and opening left side body. And then on the next inhale, if you'd like, you can begin to lift left fingertips, moving towards some version of balance, and then slowly we'll rock over into flip dog. If that pose doesn't feel good to you, you're welcome to stay in three-legged dog. To protect the standing elbow, we'll soften it. So not necessarily a bend, it's just not locking out the joint. And then again, activate the lower glutes and activate the core, the lower abs, and notice the activation of the core helping pull waist up higher towards the ceiling. This is our last breath in. And then exhale, slowly roll over, side plank, left side down. Right fingertips lift up towards the ceiling, and for 3 breaths, we'll lift higher towards the ceiling. So lifting fingertips, lifting hips. You'll notice the glute med activation when you lift the hips a little higher. You're welcome to lift a leg as well. If that's simple for you, you can reach around and grab the leg with a lifted arm. Good. One more breath. And then exhale to high plank. Slowly lower to low plank. Upward facing dog, downward facing dog, and then check in with your breath here. Notice in a pose that asks for strength, asks for endurance, it's really easy for us to hold our breath, to just push through the pose, but we're in an hour-long practice, so our practice will be aiming to coordinate with the breath, and notice how when we breathe, we bring more activation in the pose, more depth to a pose. So one more inhale in on this side. Exhale, come forward into high plank. Wake up the shoulders a bit. Good, and then back to downward facing dog. And then we'll come onto the forearms. So elbows pressed into the mat. This pose is called dolphin. So it's like downward dog, except our forearms are down. If this feels okay on your shoulders, you can begin to walk toes a little closer towards the shoulders. Just finding a deeper stretch in the hamstrings and the upper body. If not, you can stay back where you were. We'll stay here for 2 breaths. And then after your next exhale, walk the feet back and slowly, one hand at a time, come back up to downward facing dog. 1 inhale together. Exhale, let it go, and then step the right foot forward for crescent lunge on the right side. So right knee at 90 degrees over the right ankle. We're back on the ball of the left foot. So kicking the heel back behind you and lifting the crown of the head up towards the ceiling. We'll lift fingertips up. 1 inhale in. Exhale, hands to heart center. Prayer twist towards the right side. So left shoulder, left elbow comes to right knee. Right elbow reaching up towards the ceiling. And then lengthen from the heel to the crown of the head on the inhale. And then twist the spine deeper on the exhale. So in any spinal twist, you want to lengthen, create space. And then find a deeper twist. Notice if you're holding your breath here. We have 2 more breaths on this side. Last inhale. And then exhale slowly with balance, rotate into warrior two. So the back foot comes to the ground, rotates perpendicular to the front. Good, and then reaching hands either direction, gaze following the right fingertips out in front of you. Notice here how easy it is to stay lifted off the knees. Let's press into that front standing knee to a 90-degree angle. One more inhale. And then exhale, reverse warrior. Back hand down the back leg. We'll stay here for a full rotation of breath. So inhale in, exhale, let it go. One more inhale. And then exhale, extended side angle. Elbow can come to the knee or hand can come to the floor. No version is better than the other, but we're just looking for opening in the chest in this pose. So lifting left fingertips up towards the ceiling, gaze following. We'll take a breath in and then a breath out. And if you've been in this class, I also often offer the option of a bind. So if you'd like to do that, the right arm comes under the right thigh, reaching the hands back behind to interlace or just reach towards each other. And the goal here is still pulling the chest open. One more breath in. And then on the exhale, bring both hands to the inside of the right foot. Back leg can come either onto the knee or it can stay lifted if you'd like. And then we can either stay here in our hands or maybe come down to forearms. Again, looking to yourself, asking not how do I do the hardest version of a pose, but what feels good to me. So checking in with your hip flexor. Does it feel okay to lower down a bit? Does it feel good on my forearms or am I straining? If I'm straining, let's move off of it a bit. Also, if it feels good, you can turn the corner or your right toes towards the right corner of the mat. Come onto the knife edge or the outside edge of the right foot, lifting the inner arch up and possibly lifting the back leg. So again, all the poses that we'll work through will have an option for a challenge, but a first question to ask is, how does this feel? So in yoga, something shouldn't be painful. Maybe it's a really deep stretch, but asking, does this still feel good? Feel like within my limits today in my body? So checking in with yourself, not just what I'm saying. So we'll take one more breath on this side. And then slowly pressing back up onto the forearms, or onto the hands. We'll leave left hand to the inside of the right foot and bring right fingertips up towards the ceiling for twisting spine. We'll take 2 breaths here, gaze following the fingertips. Last inhale. And then exhale, hands back down, press up into a high plank, step the right foot back. And then on the exhale, slowly lower down, low plank. Inhale to upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. One breath in together. One breath out, let it go. And then step the left foot forward for crescent lunge on the left side. So again, we're on the ball of the back foot, right behind the toes, fingertips lift. Reaching from the heel, back towards the floor behind us. Inhale, lift fingertips up towards the ceiling. Exhale, hands to heart center, prayer twist towards the left side. And the gaze following the left elbow up towards the ceiling. Notice here if all of your weight falls into the right arm on the left leg. Can we lift, activate the core, even like 10% of core activation coming back into play? 2 more breaths. On the inhale, lengthen crown of the head forward, the heel back. Exhale, twist a little deeper. Last time, inhale to lengthen the spine. Exhale to rotate it, gaze coming out towards the ceiling. And then we'll slowly rotate into warrior two. Back foot comes perpendicular to the front, fingertips either direction, gaze following the left middle finger towards the front of the room or whatever's in front of you. And then pressing into that standing knee. We'll be in this pose for 2 breaths. So moving more towards 90 degrees, activating the quad. One more breath in. And then exhale, reverse warrior. Back hand down the back leg. Notice here that we're not pressing right into the outside of the knee, but below it, or just not putting much weight there. And then on the next exhale, extended side angle. Elbow to knee or hand to floor, either one is fine. Or if you have some kind of prop or block or water bottle, you can bring the hand there as well. Gaze follows, the right fingertips up towards the ceiling. And then again, the option for the bind, so what Addison just did, reaching underneath the leg and over the upper body, interlacing fingers, and helping that not pull us closer towards the mat, but lift the shoulder up towards the ceiling. 2 more breaths, gaze following the fingertips. Notice here if we're dumping all of our weight, can we activate the core? Last inhale, and then exhale, rotating the back foot, knee can come to the mat, moving into dragon. Some hands come to the inside. If it feels okay, we come onto the forearms. If not, we can stay lifted. Again, no ideal version of a pose, just checking in with where you are today, respecting that place, and then stretching from there. So maybe you're on the forearms, maybe the left toes are facing the left corner of the mat, maybe you're on the knife edge or outside edge of the left foot. And then breathe wherever you are. Come back in to the flow of breath. Inhale in, exhale, let it go. We'll take one more breath in this pose. And slowly coming back up to high plank, stepping the left hand back or left foot back. We'll move from high to low plank. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. I just realized I forgot a pose. So step the left foot back forward through a runner's lunge. And then leaving the right hand to the inside of the left foot, lift left fingertips up towards the ceiling. Yeah, you can bring your back knee to the mat if you'd like, or leave it lifted. Spinal twist, but a gentle version. One more breath in. Exhale, hands to the mat, and then we'll press up and back into downward facing dog. Take a breath in here together. Exhale to release. And then travel to the front of the mat for a forward fold. Inhale to a halfway lift or flat back. Exhale to fold. And then inhale to chair pose. One breath in chair. Exhale, hands to heart center, and then twist. Left elbow to right knee, right elbow reaching up towards the ceiling. Again, lengthening forward and twisting deeper. Check in here to bring the hips in line. We'll check in with the knees. So if the left knee is shot in front of the right, bring them back in line with each other. And then sit a little lower. So notice here when you bring the left knee back, your hips will want to lift. If we can do both in the same motion, bring the left hip back, sit a little deeper. One more breath on this side. And then on the exhale, fingers to toes forward fold. So pointer finger, middle finger, wrap around big toe. Elbows come out wide to pull the crown of the head towards the mat. Again, release tension in the neck by shaking the head right and left, up and down, letting the head fall heavy. Any amount of bend that you need in your knees is great. The more bend we find, especially if we have really tight hamstrings, the more we protect the lower back. So if an eventual goal for you is to move towards straight leg, that's great, but still be honoring and respectful where you are today, not asking too much of the strain in the lower back. Instead, with a bend in the legs, we hinge at the hips. One more breath. Exhale, release the hands for forward fold. And then inhale to halfway lift, flat back. Exhale, fold. And then inhale to chair pose. Hips low, thumbs back. Exhale, hands to heart center. And then twist the other side. Right elbow to left knee. Left hand on top. For more access, you can make a fist like Addison just did with the left hand to help open the chest up closer towards the ceiling, stacking the left shoulder blade on top of the right. One breath in, one breath out. We'll do that one more time. One breath in, exhale, breath out, palms to toes, forward fold. So we'll step the feet on top of the hands. So top of the hands come to the mat. Toes reaching towards the wrists. Be cautious here not to rock too far forward when your hands are being held by your feet. And then notice here tension in the neck. Can we let it fall heavy towards the mat? Maybe we practice pressing a little more length into the hamstrings on an inhale, and then come back on the exhale. Right, so again, our goal doesn't have to be straight legs in this pose, but if that's where we're headed, then maybe giving some space to practice there. We'll stay for one more breath. And then exhale, release the hands, then we'll set up for crow pose. So bringing the hands about a foot out in front of your feet on the mat. Palms will come flat. And then bringing the knees on the back of the triceps, or if you're new to this pose, it can be helpful to bring the knees to the outside of the triceps to give them something to squeeze into. And then like Addison did, you can, if you're used to this pose, slowly lift forward. If you're new to the pose, maybe just practicing rocking the weight in that direction, and maybe one toe lifts at a time. So you start with both feet on the mat. couple more breaths. Then if you'd like an extra challenge, as Addison did, if you want to lift hips up higher towards the ceiling on the next breath in, and then on the exhale, can you kick back into high plank? And then whenever you're ready, we'll move into down dog. Again, finding a moment to move your legs, walk your dog, check in with the body, take a couple breaths, reset. One inhale together, exhale, let it go, and then forward fold at the top of the mat. Inhale to halfway lift or flat back, exhale to fold, and then inhale extended mountain pose, hands up and overhead. On the exhale, we'll bring hands to heart center, then grounding through the left foot, begin to lift the right leg for standing leg raise on the right side. So looking for a 90-degree angle in the right knee and in the right foot. So flexing the toes up towards the face. Hands can stay at heart center, or as we begin to open up towards the right side, maybe the hands come to grab for the toes to extend out, or grab for the outside of the kneecap, or maybe staying right here in the center of the chest. We'll stay in this pose for a few breaths. Maybe our gaze follows the left hand or to the left side for a little more of a challenge to our balance. One more inhale. And then on the exhale, bring the knee back to center, and then inhale, kick the heel out in front of you, moving towards a straight leg. It's okay if it's not totally straight. We'll be here for 3 breaths. So on an inhale, press the heel out in front of you and lift the toes a little higher. Good. 2 more breaths. Activate the core. Notice if we're leaning back, bring the shoulders back on top of the hips. Last inhale, and then exhale, slowly lower down, foot to the floor. On an inhale, we'll lift hands up and overhead. Exhale, hands to heart center, and then inhale, grounding through the right foot, lift the left heel, 90 degrees at the knee, and 90 degrees at the ankle, flexing the foot. One inhale here, and then exhale to switch, so any variation of the pose. So we can stay here, we can open the leg out to the side, reach for toes and extend. If you need a little more balance in the pose, your gaze can follow the right fingertips over to the right side. So check in with the pelvis. If it's sticking out, can we tuck it back in? Activating the core. Still drawing shoulder blades in towards each other. One more breath. And then exhale back to center. One inhale here. And then exhale, kick the heel out in front of you, moving towards a straight leg. Toes flexed. We're here for 3 breaths. See how long you can lengthen your exhale. So instead of your quickest 3 breaths trying to move through the pose, how can we not fight the pose, but instead learn something in it, find strength within it? This is our last inhale. And then exhale, slowly lower down, kick the legs out if that feels good. And then on an inhale, bring hands up and overhead and move into eagle on the right side. So palms touch at the top, and then we'll bring right knee up and over left knee, right elbow under left. And then rotating or twisting at the forearms, we'll bring palms to touch each other. And then like Addison's doing on an inhale, lifting elbows up in line with the shoulders. Exhale, maybe something a little deeper in our squat. So just a quarter squat. 2 more breaths. Inhale, lift. Exhale, sit a little lower. Last inhale, draw the shoulder blades back towards each other. And then exhale, slowly release and move into eagle on the other side. So start with the quarter squat with the right leg. Left knee up and over. You have the option to wrap the toes behind like Addison's doing. When I do that, it really pulls my hips out of whack, so out of alignment. And so if it's doing that for you, no need to do that to wrap today. The foot can just stay to the outside like how Addison just moved. Good, and then 2 more breaths. Inhale, lift the elbows up in line with the shoulders. Exhale, sit a little deeper. Last breath. Inhale, draw the shoulder blades in towards each other. And then exhale, slowly release. One more inhale. Exhale, let it go. And then last balancing pose, standing on our mats. We'll press through the left leg, or through the left foot into the mat, and then we'll come to tree on the right side. So the right foot can come to the inside of the calf or the upper thigh, just making sure not to press right into the knee joint. And then hands can stay at heart center, lift up and overhead. If you're new to this pose, it's hard to keep the leg here. Maybe a hand stays kind of stabilizing the leg and one hand at heart center. So there's no right or wrong thing to do with your arms here. but instead finding something that holds the integrity of balance and challenge. Again, notice here if you've really stuck out the lower glutes, especially to keep the leg there, can we rotate the pelvis up and under, activating lower abs, grounding through the left standing foot. 2 more breaths on this side, finding some still gaze point or unmoving object in front of you to focus your attention, slow yourself down, and then we'll slowly lower, and then move into tree on the other side. So grounding through the right foot, lift the left to the inside of the thigh or the calf. If you need a place to start with your hands, it can be heart center, but they can lift up and overhead or out to the sides. Again, no correct or single way to do this pose, but finding one that challenges you and finding one that still allows balance. And then we'll breathe. I often say in yoga that I think balancing on our mat is as difficult as finding balance in our lives outside of a physical practice. And so if you find it really difficult to slow down, that's natural and that's normal. So use the breath as a cue. So we have 1 more inhale on this side. Focus on sensation of the breath instead of falling out of the pose. And then exhale, slowly lower down. Come back to the top of the mat. And then inhale, hands up and overhead. Exhale, swan dive down for forward fold. Inhale, halfway back, halfway lift, flat back. Exhale, hands to the mat, step or jump back. Lower down, upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. And then right away, we'll step the right foot forward for triangle on the right side. So the foot between the hands, back foot perpendicular to the front, finding a lot of length, the legs on the mat. Shoot the hips back. And then hinge over. So right hand can come towards the thigh, the calf, the floor, gaze following left fingertips. That feels okay on your neck. If that doesn't feel great on the neck, your gaze can come down towards the floor, but finding some neutral position that doesn't ask for any strain on the neck in this pose. So as we press hips back, we twist and open up towards the left side, up towards the ceiling. We'll take 2 more breaths on this side. Last inhale, and then exhale, side facing wide leg forward fold. So toes all face one direction, hands come to the mat, and then walk either the hands back behind you or underneath you. Any version of a forward fold, just wide leg. Notice here if your hips are shot back behind the heels, can you bring the hips forward, back in line? And then breathe. If it feels good, you can come onto the forearms. Take 1 more breath. And then slowly walking the hands over to the right side. We'll bring left hand either in the middle of the mat over towards the right foot or around the right ankle, then right fingertips reach up towards the ceiling. 1 more breath in. And then exhale back to center. Wide facing forward folds, and then we'll be here for 2 breaths. Again, option to come onto the forearms, to walk the hands back behind you. And then slowly walk over to the other side. Right hand coming somewhere towards the left foot, doesn't have to be at the foot, or it can wrap around the ankle. We're staying in the middle of the mat, left fingertips reach up towards the ceiling and let the gaze follow. Two more breaths on this side. And then on the exhale, slowly come back down and walk the hands over to the left side. We'll move into triangle on the left. So left toes facing the back of the mat, right foot perpendicular to the left. Shoot the hips back, and then bring the left hand either on the thigh, the calf, the floor, the ankle. Gaze following right fingertips. And again, here, notice if you're holding your breath. It's not uncommon for us in physical practice or exercise to be holding our breath and not even realize it. But we know as we oxygenate the muscles, we have more capacity to access, to reach our limits within them. We'll take one more breath in. And then exhale, slowly walk the hands back down to the mat, walk them towards the front. And we'll meet in a forward fold at the top of the mat. Inhale to halfway lift or flat back. Exhale to fold. And then inhale to chair pose. We'll take one breath in here. And then on the exhale, start lowering down. Eventually our hips are going to come all the way to the floor. We're going to move into boat pose. Good, so we'll move into a high boat. So knees can be bent or legs can be straight. Extend arms out in front of you. If that doesn't feel good on the lower back, you can reach the hands back as a kickstand on the floor behind you. And we'll be here for 3 more. 2 more. 1 more, then we'll move into low boat. Stay here for 3, 2, 1, back up to high boat for 3, 2, 1, low boat, last time, 3, 2, 1, and slowly let the back come to the floor, and then heels right in front of the glutes. On an inhale, we'll press hips up towards the ceiling for bridge pose. So digging heels down into the mat, we'll squeeze inner thighs in towards each other, and without moving the feet, make an energetic push towards the feet, squeezing in on the mat. So as if you were trying to scrunch up the mat in between the feet. Activate the lower glutes and activate the lower abs, and notice that taking the weight of the torso here instead of dumping into the lower back. Stay for 1 more breath. And then exhale, slowly lower down. So we have time for 2 more, either bridge or wheel poses. So we just did this bridge. If you'd like to set up for wheel, palms come to either side of the ears, fingertips reaching towards the shoulders. And then either bridge or wheel, either one's fine. On an inhale, we'll lift. And then we're here for 3 breaths. So again, bridge or wheel, activate lower glutes, activate lower abs. Take a breath in, take a breath out. 1 more time, breath in, exhale, slowly lower back down to the mat. So if you're wheeling, your heart's probably racing here. So we'll use the breath to activate, to slow down, to oxygenate, to still ourselves. So 1 more time, bridge or wheel. Set up for either one, and then inhale, come up. Right away, dig heels into the mat, activate lower glutes, activate lower abs. We have 2 more breaths in the pose. Long inhale, see how long you can extend your exhale. Last time, big breath in, long breath out, and then slowly lower down, Supta Baddha Konasana. So soles of the feet touch, knees out wide on the mat. It's really important here as we're rinsing out the lower back to not create space between the back and the mat. So if you feel like your lower back, your sacrum is not totally touching down, then a couple options are: 1, activate the lower abs to draw the back down towards the mat, or maybe lift the knees up higher and towards each other to help press the back down. And then slowly rejuvenate with the breath. Let the right hand come to the lower belly, feeling sensation of the breath, left hand over the heart. Maybe you can feel the heartbeat. And take a few breaths here. Coming back to the sensation of inhales, filling lower belly, exhales, emptying everything out, letting everything go. And notice here, as we begin to slow down in the practice, what happens in the mind when we move to this spot. Often when my physical movement stills, my mind wants to start racing. So can we, in a practice that's not just about the physical body, is also about an exercise for the mind? Can we practice letting the mind follow the pace of the body? Right, so we've been amped up, a lot of strength. Now that we slow down, can we allow that same freedom in our mental space as well, to release the need to figure everything out, to plan what we're doing next? Can we slow down, be present, and take a few more breaths? Find yourself easily distracted, use the sensation like your hands feeling the rise of the lower belly and the chest, and then the fall as the breath leaves. 1 more time, deep inhale, filling all the way down to the lower abdomen, and then exhaling it back out. And then we'll hug the knees into the chest, rock side to side for a moment, and manually massaging out the back on the mat. And then on an inhale, we'll lift heels up towards the ceiling for Waterfall Pose. So moving towards straight hamstrings, legs don't have to be straight, but moving in that direction. We'll flex the toes towards the face. And we'll be here for 3 breaths. So if it's difficult to move towards straight legs here, maybe on an inhale, moving a little closer towards straight, finding a little more stretch in the pose, a little more length in the hamstrings, and on the exhale, letting it come back to wherever was a comfortable neutral for you. We'll do that one more time. On an inhale, moving a little more towards straight hamstrings. Exhale, allowing for whatever bend you needed there. And then we'll bend the knees 90 degrees. So leaving knees right over hips, and then heels pressing towards the wall in front of you, flex the toes. So already here, if our knees are actually over the hips, we should already feel core activation. So if our knees are pulled in closer towards the chest, we won't feel it as much, but as we press them out directly 90 degrees, we'll feel the core start to engage. So from this pose, we're gonna do some bicycle crunches. So right elbow to left knee, and then alternating. So we'll do that for 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10. Notice if you're bringing the knee all the way back towards the elbow, can we bring the elbow up more towards the knee as opposed to the other way around? Good, 3, 2, 1. Those are probably a few bonus ones. Good, okay, so have the knees back into the chest, rock side to side, one more time. And then we'll rock backwards and forwards until we rock them into a seated position. And then from seated, we'll come into tabletop. So swinging legs back around you. And then we'll move into half pigeon on the right side. So bringing right knee behind the right wrist. And then the right foot coming up towards the left side. Extend left leg back behind you. And then if it feels okay to you, you can fold over. If not, we can stay lifted. A lot of times in a yoga class, you'll hear someone say you want to move the right leg towards 90 degrees. But actually when we do that, when we come more towards 90, we put a lot of weight on a really extended knee. So instead of stretching out, ACL or MCL are asking for a non-muscular stretch of the body, we'll let the ligaments chill by leaving the foot at more at a 45-degree angle with the leg. So again, you can come out of the forearms or you can stay lifted like Addison is. Left leg is extended back behind you, pressing the top of the left foot in the mat. Maybe try activating the lower left glute, seeing if that gives you any more access to the hip opener on the right side. And then again, in the pose where there's not much more to do, we get there, we set up, maybe we feel the tightness in the hips or the IT band. The thing here to do next is to breathe in the pose, find opening through creating flow in the body. Take 2 more rounds of breath on this side. And then after your next exhale, slowly press back up through tabletop, taking your time to put weight on the right knee. And you can come to downward facing dog. Any hip motion that feels good. Walking your dog if you'd like. And then bring the left knee behind the left wrist. And then the left foot comes not all the way up towards the hand, so that the leg's at 90 degrees, but instead more of a 45 degrees. So toes are facing towards the right hand, but not touching. And then if it feels good, you can fold over, walk the right foot back, press the top of the right foot into the mat, activate the lower right glute. You don't have to keep it activated the entire pose, but just notice if it gives you any more access to the stretch on the left side. Notice here if you've rocked your weight over to the left, like it's kind of like the hip on the left side is falling down, and come back into neutral in your central line. And then breathe. Again, when there's nothing to do in a pose, when there's not a harder version, it's just where we are today, we often find our mind starts racing, moving. So the thing to do next in this pose is to access the breath, to help slow us down, to help reconnect, to give us more access to movement, to lengthening, to stretching, to strengthening. We'll take 2 more breaths on this side. Last inhale. Then exhale, slowly rock over on the left side, swing the right leg out in front of you and move into staff pose. So legs out straight, fingertips up and overhead. And then on the exhale, we'll slowly fold forward, hinging at the hips instead of rounding in the lower spine. So hands don't have to touch the feet, but just reaching in that direction. And notice here it's really easy to round the spine. So instead of needing to reach all the way forward, we just hinge our hips instead, which maybe means that we don't even move that far down the legs. And that's okay. The goal is not just to be totally folded over. But again, the goal is to check in with how I feel today. It's not worth sacrificing the rounding in my spine just to touch my toes. Instead, we want to hinge at the hips. We'll take one more breath. Exhale, let it go, and then we'll bring the left foot to the inside of the right thigh, so the heel reaching towards the top of the thigh. Inhale, hands up and overhead. And then exhale, reach the right hand over towards the right foot. And left hand can come here as well. Over feels good. Left fingertips can reach up towards the ceiling, gaze moving in that direction. One more breath in on this side. And then exhale, slowly switch. Again, left fingertips reach out for the ankle, the calf, the foot, just that direction. Right can come as well, or right fingertips can reach up towards the ceiling, gaze following the right fingertips. One more breath in. And then slowly moving back to center, we'll find our way to our backs, whichever feels, or whatever way feels good to you to get there. Hug the knees into the chest. And then bring both knees over to the right side for a spinal twist. So let the left shoulder find the floor as your anchoring point into the ground. The right hand can help press the left knee closer towards the mat, or it can stay right where it is. Two more breaths on this side. And then slowly back to center. And then we'll switch sides, both knees over to the left for a spinal twist to rinse out the lower back as we finish our practice. Two more breaths. And then slowly back to center, hug the knees in the chest one more time. Then we'll move into happy baby. So soles of the feet are pressing up towards the ceiling while the hands are pulling the soles of the feet down to stretch all the way down into the hips, the hamstrings. If it feels good, you can lengthen or stretch out one leg at a time. Any rocking side to side that feels good is also okay. I usually use this pose as the last time to check in with my body. Any last movements that feel good before we move into Shavasana or the final resting pose. And then slowly, when you're ready, extend feet out in front of you, heels pressing towards the wall in front of you, hands reaching back and overhead. If you have any lower back issues and laying on your back doesn't feel good, you can always leave the knees bent with heels right in front of the glutes. So we'll interlace fingers, flip the hands, so the palms pressing up, the heels pressing out in front of you, one lengthening stretch in both directions. And then on the exhale, slowly release hands to either side of the body. Let the feet fall open wide. And we'll set up for Shavasana, final resting pose. Addison often has said in this class that Shavasana is one of the hardest poses because we can't will ourselves to do more in it. But the goal is just to slow down, to let go, to acknowledge that we've done what we can, maybe to find a moment of gratitude for our practice ourselves. Or if you're practicing with a neighbor, for them as well. And then to begin the practice of releasing. So coming back to the breath, if on an inhale we can create more space, then on an exhale, can we let go? So something we don't need. If it's a thought right now that's distracting you, can we notice that thing but kind of let it pass on until a later moment? Realizing that of course thoughts come up, fill the mind, and it's not wrong to have them, that's natural. but in an intentionally resting moment, could we acknowledge them without fighting them? And then just commit to coming back to it later. Using this time for rest instead, and not like the lazy on the couch, not doing anything, but like the intentional stillness. And so as we've done the past couple weeks, we'll leave you here in this pose. So I often tell myself in this pose, when I first say like, okay, I'm ready to get up, like, do I have time to stay a little bit longer? So not necessarily just jumping up at my first option to, but if there's a way that I could benefit from the rest in this pose, might I stay here a moment longer? So thank you for joining us today in your practice. We'll leave you here. You're welcome to stay as long as you'd like, but it is at the end of our time if you'd like to come up. Thanks for joining us. Namaste.